Welcome to Beyond Perception with Jaden Fox and Michelle Manning-Kogler. And today we are heading right down the rabbit hole. We're going to talk about all of the manipulation and what do I want to say here? We'll just talk about manipulation in the New Age movement and how in some ways we've kind of traded one old-time religion for a new-time religion, which has actually gotten us in bigger trouble in some ways, because it's all about love and light. And I almost can't say that without gagging anymore because
I know. Yeah.
and
yeah. So let's start by calling in our angels and our guides.
Oh, please don't. Please don't. That's how I've gotten so manipulated in the past. You know, I can hear people right now emailing me and texting me and B-word, you're such a bitch, you crazy woman. You know, renounce, destroy and uncreate, retroactively make null and void, all of that. But yeah, I mean, this is going to bring up a lot of stuff for a lot of people. So let's be very clear that this is not for the faint of heart.
Well, actually, it's fascinating in that when you, for me, I had spent so many years trying to dig into things, and like I couldn't get into things. Like I seemed impregnable, and everybody's talking about this cool stuff about having all these bizarre interactions with weird energies and entities, and I'm like, I've never had that, and I'm feeling really left out. And I started this spiritual, and I started being spiritual, and actually New Age, and I bought it lock, stock, and barrel and read everything and parroting the things and really getting into it. I got so fucked up and taken over. Like it locked my ass down in a way nothing else ever had before.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's potent shit. That's really, really potent stuff. So yeah, if you've got my recommendation. If you ever really, really want to explore what it's like to be fully taken over and fully locked down, become spiritual and invite your guides, your angels, and connect to these realms and download all these different energies from these other realms, and you'll see what that's like. It's cool until it's not.
It's really not. And you know, I'll be honest, I like you, I played in that arena for a really long time, and I'm finding myself hearing, you know, a lot of the things that I have said in the past, and it's like, oh my gosh, wow, no wonder I was having problems. No wonder I was there. And yeah, so it wasn't until I found myself utterly locked down and basically losing everything, you know, kitties, marriage, homes, businesses, everything I owned, everything that I was, and really not even coming to a point where I didn't even know who I was and what I was here for. And I'm like, this is crazy, because frankly, I have a big mission to help people, and if I can't do that, then what? That's the only thing I'm designed to do. Let's be really clear. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. But it's what I'm really good at, and it's what I've chosen to do. So So that being said, how do we want to go down this? Because I mean, I can feel all the people already going.
And those people aren't ready for this. So it's like the people that we connect with are the people who've actually been there, done that, got the t-shirt, got the guides, got all the other, got the crystals and all the cool things, and find, okay, well, this didn't go where I expected this to go. Now, how do I get the fuck out of this?
Right.
And that, for me, it's like, if you're still having fun playing in it, then by all means go play in it. Like, I can't say I didn't have fun while I was doing it. In its own twisted way, it was fun. But you reach a point where you're like just done with it. And that's the people who come to me, and probably you as well, are like, I'm done with this. Like, serious, I'm done with this. How do I get out?
Yeah,
because
why isn't my life working?
It's entrapping. It's entrapping. It locks you down in a way that it reprograms your consciousness, reprograms your way of thinking.
Yeah.
It totally distorts your reality in such a way that you can't even think clearly anymore. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's real.
No.
And you don't realize that. You think you do know what's true and what's real. And it's a big mind fuck. It's the biggest mind fuck I've ever found. It was well
the biggest one
designed.
I've been in, and I've been in some really great ones.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm living my human design now. This is my heretic side. So we're taking it out. Prepare for the flash burning.
Yeah. So what is all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable around all this, and all the unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking, Wernicke's commands, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energy and frequencies, everything that prevents you from being able to even think about something outside of the paradigm that you're locked into.
Wow.
And can we put all that in the pile?
Yes, I choose that now. Woo.
Wow. And what is everything that you decided that all that new age stuff means that it doesn't actually mean?
Yeah, it might be a lot.
Wow. And put that in the pile? Wow. And what is everything you decided that all the new age stuff doesn't mean that it actually does mean?
Wow. That might be even more.
Whoa, that's weird shit. Okay. And all that stuff in the pile. And everything from down below, back behind, up above, way out front,
Outside,
left,
inside,
right, inside, outside, everything remaining all in the pile. Bodies, let that go. Not you, not yours, not you, not yours. Now that's yours, now that's yours. Let it go,
Never
let it
was
go.
yours.
Never was yours, never was yours, never was yours. And can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that now.
I choose that.
Clear, transform, flash burn, purify, and sterilize it all back to and through each of its source and or sources. Oh, purify the source and or sources. Flash burn it out of existence so it never existed ever. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
That had a lot more energy than I really expected right up front. Just getting started.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I heard a description that really rang for me, and that was that the manipulators of this reality, if you want to call it the matrix or whatever you want to call, the energies that seek to lock down humans or conscious humans, noticed that religion, the old time religions, just wasn't working anymore, and that we weren't buying it, probably because we'd been through it, or it seemed so clunky and obvious. It was crude. And so that they developed a more sophisticated program that would deliberately grab people who are in the space of looking for something better than what's here. People who are reacting to the negativity of this reality and want the joy and peace and bliss and light and oneness and togetherness and all those wonderful qualities that actually aren't what you think they are. And it's like those, so they created this distorted reality that each one of those things sounds like one thing, but is actually something different. So it's like oneness, what we would think of as oneness and what we would focus on as oneness is, we'd be like, yeah, oneness, I like that. But what is designed for oneness is more like the Borg. We will consume you of one, like it's a beehive or a thing where you become a cog in the machine, one with all. And there's all these distortions that twist it around in different meanings for that. And when I heard that, I'm like, whoa, yep, got me.
Yeah, bad, really bad.
Got me.
Yeah. And it's yes. And it was interesting when I first, I remember thinking years and years and years and years and years ago, when I first heard that concept of oneness, the very first thing that popped into my brain was, we are the Borg, we are one. There is, there's, what is it? We will assimilate. There is no escape.
We will assimilate you. Yep. Yep. Exactly. And I think that triggered on some level, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's not spiritual thought.
It's not. That's not love and light. That's just science fiction.
Yeah, it's just not real.
Yeah. Well, and what I've realized is the version of oneness that has kind of been distorted, or that was originally distorted, that looked good but really wasn't, is that it's losing our identity. It's losing our uniqueness and our diversity, and I'm seeing it in the world. You know, we've gotten to this point of intolerance of anything unique, or on one level we celebrate it, and yet even look at the design of our cars. They all look the same. And I'm like, what the hell is that? This is crazy. And if you're really too out there, that's also not good. So we've got to be universally one-ish.
Ish. Yep.
But even, you know, I mean, the far left, the far right, you know, it's all about, we have to all think alike. We all have to look alike. We all have to dress alike. We all have to, and it's this alikeness energy that is so destructive. Because when you look at our planet, there's such massive, massive diversity. I mean, there's millions of types of species, from insects to birds to mammals to, you know, to plant life and trees, and it's like, how can that diversity support us in understanding our own diversity? And we had a conversation about this, you know, in a group the other night that we were in, and which was mind-bogglingly brilliant, and made me really realize how strong diversity makes us. And if we buy into that oneness that really has that underpinning of the Borg, we lose that, and we become very intolerant, and we become weak as a species, as individuals, and as a species, as a human species. And that's kind of where we're being guided and led. And you know, I'm just this whole, because I'm in this industry, I'm in this, well, I may not be in it much longer. But you know, this help industry, this new age, oh God, I can't even say that word, industry. I just feel like I need to speak out, because we're being led astray, and we're really being manipulated, and people's lives are not working, and we pay tens of thousands of dollars, and in my case, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be who we're designed to be, and then it's not working. Yeah.
But actually, it's like some of that too is, if you look at it as an exploration of this reality that guides you to awareness, then it's actually quite brilliant. I mean, then I was, like you, a workshop junkie, and I took to the point where it's just like, if I take one more fucking workshop, like I'm over it. But it's like it all guides you to view another aspect of this reality, another way of viewing the world that looks brilliant and looks great. And then you get down it, you're like, nope, dead end. And you take this one, nope, that's definitely dead end. Nope, that one's going to suck me down. You know? And if you look at the overall, like, it really is bringing you to more awareness, or depending on how you're using it, like it for me, each one of those rabbit holes was a dead end that caused me to come back to me.
Yeah. And when you look at it like that, I mean, once you smack up against that brick wall again, then it's like, wait, something's wrong. Something is still wrong. But every system, every person that I thought had answers for me did in some ways. But what I realized is I really have what I need inside.
Yep.
And I want people to reconnect with that. Yes, you can gain information about other things, but you are your own authority,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Yep.
Nobody can tell you what you feel,
Mm-hmm.
who you are, what your experiences are, and not even me, not Jaden, not anybody. Because,
Agreed.
and if anybody tells you that they have all of the answers for you, they're lying. I will tell you that right now.
Run away very
Run fast.
quickly.
And I'm the first to admit I was the person who, that for $97 you too can have the answers to all of the universe. And it's like, and I'm sorry. And I apologize.
I apologize. Yeah.
I really apologize but that's part of that matrixy shit that we're going to be talking about today, and how you get sucked in so easily to not be your own authority, and how that's destructive to your whole life, and especially your pocketbook. So let's talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is everything that's upper active? And all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking, Wernicke's commands, booby traps, covert or unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energies. Whoa. And in the pile, everything down below, back behind, up above, front, left, right, inside, outside, everything remaining. And can we shrink all that down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that now.
I choose that. And incinerate.
Clear, transform, flash burn, purify, sterilize it all back to and through each of its source and or sources, and then purify the source and or sources, and flash burn so it never existed ever.
Wow.
Wow, that was a lot of information.
Wow. Yeah.
So when we do this, what we're asking you to do is not consciously think about it, and there'll be stuff that'll pop into your head. What we're asking you to do is feel the information in your body, run it through your own inner authority, run it through your BS detector, run it through whatever, and do not take everything that Jaden and I say for fact, because we're just here to bring awareness, to bring fun and consciousness and expansiveness, and maybe a different viewpoint, so that you can see more truth, so that you can see the world in a different way that supports you. And go ahead.
There's that lie, and it's definitely the new age, and it's also this planet that says that there's one truth. And that everybody has that same truth, and you just need to align with and see what is true, and then you've got it. Yeah. And what if the reality is that it's all about perspective? Like, I could stand here and I could look at something at a distance, and from my angle of perspective, it looks like one thing, and you could be 300 or 180 degrees around, and from the backside of that same object, you could see something completely different. And we're looking at the same object, and I can look at this and say, no, that is true. And you could look at the backside and say, no, this is true. And who's true? What's true?
Right.
And it's like, what if everybody has their own truth? What if your truth is unique in all that is, that there's no other being who has the same perspective in all that is that you personally have, and that your truth, and when you speak your truth and when you see your truth, it allows others to see the world through your eyes and through your perspective, and that adds to the multidimensionality of all that is, rather than the Borg saying there's one truth and you just have to see it from the way we tell you you have to see it. Right. And that's a huge snag that I see most of this reality in.
You know, when this came home to me was in 2001, when I started studying spiritual response therapy. And on chart 3, for those of you who know SRT, there is a diagram of incarnation. And every single step along the way, there are literally there's anywhere between one and literally millions and tens, hundreds of millions of choices. And if from a numerical standpoint alone, at each level of that, descension into physical body, into these physical bodies, one tiny, infinitesimally small decision changes who you are at a fundamental level. And if every single one of us, there was literally an infinite number of choices in that incarnational decision. And and it's like, oh my gosh, there's no possible. And that was one of the biggest defining moments for me, because I had been raised in a certain religion where it was just, the one true way. And it was like, oh my gosh, there's no, because at each and every level, we have a different perception. We have a different awareness of who we are. And there's no way, from that religious standpoint, there's no one way back to source. There's no one way back to God. There's no one way back to the wholeness of who you are. So anybody who's selling you there's only one way to do this is lying. I'm going to tell you they are lying.
Or they're seeing it from their point of view.
Oh, I love that. Okay. That's
that for me has been helpful, because then I'm not getting into polarity. It's like, oh, well, that's their point of view. Okay, cool. So is that point of view useful to me? Is their way of looking at the world beneficial to me personally, or is that like off my path, off track for me?
So from that perspective, then that helps shift that polarity and keeps us from right, wrong, right and wrong, and righteous and unrighteous. And so everything that's brought up, can we clear that now? Yeah. Can we work on that?
Yeah. So what is everything that's up or active? All the trash that's been kind of kicked up as we've been kind of chatting along here. And can we put all that in the pile?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose it. And then let's look at, so what is everything about any of this that you're aligning and agreeing with? We're going to grab the polarities that bind you. Polarity traps. What if polarity traps you into something? So what is everything you're aligning and agreeing with? Is everything you're resisting and reacting to?
Whoa. That might be a lot.
What is everything that you're defending for? What is everything you're defending against?
That's even bigger.
Wow. And this is the layer where interference comes in. What is everything that you're righteous for?
Whoa.
Wow. And what is everything that you're righteous against?
Holy man.
Wow. And righteous is just some energy saying this is the right way to do it.
Right.
And right. Everything, all those, yes, right. Can we put all that stuff in the pile?
Yes, I choose that now.
Wow. And everything from down below, back behind, up above, way up front, from the left, from the right, inside,
outside, right side,
outside, everything remaining, all in the pile. Bodies, let that go. Not you, not yours, not you, not yours. Never was yours, never was yours. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go.
Planet not yours, planet not mine.
Wow. And truth, can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Boo. Incinerate.
Clear, transform, flash burn, purify, sterilize out of existence so it never existed ever. Back to and through each of its source and or sources, and then purify the source and or sources and flash burn the residue. You know what I love about that spectrum clearing, about that polarity clearing, is that it helps take that rigidness one way or the other out. It helps you really look at the energy that is that we've unconsciously, in most cases, really aligned with and defended against and for, and have become really righteous for and against. And I know that in my own life, things that it's like I can find the trigger and I can find where it is that I'm really righteous for, righteous against something based on the level of that shows up instantaneously on something. And that's when I know that I need to clear something, that something
Yeah.
needs this shift in perspective, and that I've been manipulated and interfered with to and to look at this, and so that my energy can be harvested. And I want to talk about that for just a second also. So what is it? So what's the whole point between manipulation and interference for us? I mean, what's the whole point about it? What's the intention? Well, I guess maybe, so a couple of questions. What's the intention of, we'll call it manipulation and interference, and then what is manipulation and interference?
Well, I'd actually like to stick on the topic. So if you could hold that, I want to stay with exactly where you were playing, because you were talking about the polarity of something.
Oh yeah.
And that for me is like the crux of so much of, it's like the biggest lockdown tool that's used on this planet. And it's one of these things where it's like, we talk about beyond perception. It's like, so what is perception? It's the way you perceive this reality. Well, if most of people on this planet have undergone some form of education, right?
Or re-education, yes.
Or basically programming. It's like they've taken your perception, your tools, your mind, the way and the instruments you use to perceive this reality, and they've conditioned them in a certain way. They've taught you to think in a certain way, and they've taught you to think in terms of right and wrong. This is true, this is false, and you need to find what is true. And so they've engaged at a core level this programming around polarity. And it's like, when you get that your mind has been programmed to think in polarity, and everything about our society, you look in the media, it's about, well, this is the correct way, this is the incorrect way. It's like it all goes back to that same lie of polarity. And it gets you to this ping pong thing where when you're trying.
Uh-oh. Hang on just a second. Looks like we might have a little interference here. Oh dear. So we can get this back online. And there you were.
Yay.
So we extract and claim all power sources and exchange or use them to our local advantages.
Yes.
There we go. And receive. And everything remaining, we now choose to destroy and uncreate it all now. Clear, transform, flash burn, purify, and sterilize it out of existence so it never existed ever. Woo. Wow. Something does not want us talking about this, my friend.
Yeah, it's funny because I've got a really solid normal network and I've got a moderately solid backup network, and both networks are down. Like, what?
Wow.
It's crazy. Okay.
Well, this just goes to show you the level of manipulation and interference that can happen when we start talking about all of their manipulations, all their garbage, and when we really start playing with the Matrix. And I just want to say, the movie The Matrix is a primer for this. So go back and watch it, 1, 2, and 3, and it will give you some information about what's really going on. It's actually correct. It's what's really going on in the real world. And most of what we think of as reality isn't really real. It's not reality. So we've been brainwashed, we've been manipulated, we've been, we'll just say mind fucked into it. So
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mind fuck is the biggest element that I notice here.
Yeah.
Is everything is distorting and twisting. It's all so much about mind that, like, if you think about it, your mind was programmed by education, not by you. It was programmed by society, not by you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's the biggest tool they have. Get you into mind, because mind is already pre-programmed to limit you.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting out of mind and getting into your body, and then using your sense of internal perception through your body, and then clearing your mind, reprogramming your mind so it works to benefit you, not to benefit the matrix.
Right.
That's the path I've been exploring.
Right.
Or that I found the only way I've found to get it to work, honestly.
Well, and that's really what I'm finding as well. And you know, I do human design, which is a way to show you how you're actually created. And in human design, each of us has this inner authority, how we process information and how we use that to our local advantage. And so what I have found is that when we are living that design, the way that we are uniquely, individually, purposely designed when we come into this lifetime, when we use that design and the authority and we understand who we are, we can't be manipulated. We can't be as easily manipulated. Let me rephrase that, because there's what's interesting is how the matrix is constantly learning from us, and I'd really like to find a way around that, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, for me, a lot of it is like I had found myself explaining myself to the matrix. Like, what if the matrix doesn't understand the way you think? Or no, I'm sorry.
Or feel.
It doesn't understand the way you feel, and it doesn't understand your creative process. It only understands thinking and logical reasoning. And so when you function from thinking and logical reasoning, and when you explain yourself, like I find myself explaining, well, I'm going to do this because. And it's like, well, who am I talking to? Who am I explaining myself to? And when
why am I explaining myself?
It's like, yeah, why am I explaining myself? Why am I not just being creative and just doing whatever feels right to me to do? Why do I have to rationalize and justify things?
Yeah.
And that rationalizing and justifying and being significant about things, for me, is what tells the matrix what I'm up to so they can interfere. When I don't do that, they have no fucking clue what's going on.
Love that. So the trick is not explaining. The trick is simply being in your body and feeling. And how much of our reality, our current social, is all about getting you out of your body, getting you into your head, and getting you agitated so that you can be manipulated in that polarity. Everything is designed around that right now.
Yep. That's my perception as well.
Yeah. So you want to talk about yet? Or are we still in the middle of this? Because we did not get where you cut off was in the beginning of that clearing of, can we loop back? I'm not sure we can.
Yeah. So we're looking about the concept of polarity?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's did any of the explanation come out, or?
Nope.
None at all. Okay. So what if it's all this reality has programmed you to be in mind, and then to jump to have a point of view about this is true, this is false, this is right, this is wrong. And it all comes back to the polarity. It's like the ping pong. It always wants you to be playing ping pong back and forth. It's like the ball goes to the true side, the ball goes to the false side, it goes to the true side, goes to the false side. And when you find yourself doing that, you're just in your own mind, locked up by the programming that's in your mind. And the way you've been taught to get out of that is to figure out what is actually true. Well, what if there is no such thing as actually true? And that's just more polarity. But what if it's about clearing all the points of view, all the polarities that you have, so you don't have a point of view, you don't have a right or wrong about it. So you're in a space of almost no mind about it. You're not in a space of thinking about it. You're in a space of perceiving and feeling what's real and true for you.
And that's
rather
what's real and true for you.
For you personally, rather than the conditioning of, oh, well, this person said this, that person said that. And this reality deliberately has opposing points of view is true.
Mm-hmm.
You can never find everything aligned in one point of view. There's always an opposing, deliberately opposing point of view to get you to lock into the opposite and play ping pong. And so it's like, what are all the programs, all the conditioning to get you to find what is true or what is truth outside of you?
Whoa. Yeah, what is all of that? Wow. That might be a lot.
Yep. And
Wow.
where's everywhere that you're aligning and agreeing with that programming?
Wow.
Where's everywhere you're resisting and reacting to that programming?
Holy
Where's everywhere you're defending for that programming? Defending against that programming.
Oh my gosh.
Righteous for that programming. That's the conditioning. And all the righteous against that programming. And that's conditioning.
Wow.
And can we put all that stuff in a pile?
Yes, I choose that.
Wow. And everything from down below, back behind, up
Oh,
above, way up front, left, right, inside, outside, everything remaining. Bodies, let that go, not you, not yours, not you, not yours. Never was yours, never was yours, not you, not yours. Let it go.
planet not yours, planet not yours, planet not yours.
And truth, can we shrink all this stuff down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that now.
Yeah, I choose that.
Clear, transform, flash burn, purify, and sterilize all of that back to and through each of its source and or sources, and then purify the source and or sources so none of it existed ever. And flash burn the residue. Yeah.
So for me, that's always the first step. It's like, what are all the points of view that I have about something? I'm going to clear those points of view. Then I have a space to perceive without mind interfering. And to me, the mind is not only created and programmed by the matrix, but the mind is also like jacked into or wired into the matrix. So it's like the thoughts can be directly implanted, memories can be implanted, all kinds of things can be just kind of dropped into your mind to mess with your thinking. So like the first step for me is, how do I step out of the thinking part? And now what do I perceive? What questions can I ask that will allow me to connect to my truth and find out, like, what do I really know about this topic? And what I don't know, I can ask questions and receive from the authentic universe through my authentic body, not through my mind, and start to integrate the truth of what is really true for me, from my perspective, period.
Right. Right. So what is the point of the polarity?
To me, it's just to lock you down.
By?
By mind fucking you.
No, by is there a being or beings or what is all of that?
Oh, kind of in a bigger picture?
Yeah.
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
Let's go all the way down, shall we? We opened up this can of worms.
When I look at it, for me, it's all connected.
Yeah.
When I look at the superficial, I call it now superficial, but the governments, the religions, the organizations, the corporations, when I look at all that stuff, you go, okay, what's behind that? What's behind that? What's behind that? You get to the dark players, the hidden players, and then it's like, well, what's behind that? And you start to hit into alien, foreign energies, and then, well, what's behind that? What's behind that? You start to hit into other frequencies, and it keeps taking you back into something that I would call generically like the archons, which is something the Gnostic writings talk about. But it's like there's these energies. Some people will see them as gods, because they do stand in that energy. It's like they're in this energy of, this is my reality. I created this reality. I own this reality, and I own you too. And none of it is true, but that's the point of view they stand in. It's like, Jaden could say, well, I control this reality and I control you. I made you, I programmed you. And if I could get enough people to believe me, then
You
it's
too could
like,
be a god.
then you too could be a god. You know, it's like, what if it's that simple? It's just the point of view that you stand in.
Yeah.
And these beings are standing in that point of view, and they've gotten enough buy-in from enough different beings and enough different races throughout all that is. And now they've decided to come to Earth and, oh, let's go play with Earth. Let's go manipulate Earth. And they've been doing that for a couple hundred years now. And they're doing a really bang-up job of it, actually.
And my unique point of view is that they've always been manipulating, in general, they've always been manipulating humanity.
Yeah.
But the heat's really been on in the last couple of years, or a couple of hundred years.
When I go back, it's like when I tap into when they started,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the last 100 years has been the strongest for me. And it keeps increasing and increasing, increasing. But when I go back, when I look at the older stuff, it's like, well, how much have they manipulated timelines? There's like timeline manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
There's distortion that's been threaded backwards. Like they'll look at, okay, well, this is not working here today. What can we change in the past that will, once it plays forward, will change it in the now to be advantageous to us? So I find there's time stream manipulations of not only us, but the planet itself that do it. When you jump out of the universe, when you jump out of the planet sphere and you look at it, you see different things from like the timing thing doesn't look the same anymore as it does from here, which kind of gets all tangled. But what is everything that all this brought up for anybody? And what is all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, sanity fog, disinformation, cloaking, Wernicke's commands, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energy and frequencies around all this? Oh, and can we put all that?
Yes, I choose that now.
Wow. And everything down below, back behind, up above, way out front, left and right, inside, outside, everything remaining all in the pile. Wow. And bodies that go, not you, not yours, not you, not yours. And can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that now.
I choose that.
Clear, transform, flash burn, purify, sterilize, back to and through each of its source into sources, purifying the source and or sources so it never existed ever. Purify, sterilize, flash burn. So to what end? I mean, why bother to manipulate us? Some people are like, why? What's the point?
It's interesting. There's so many things that are occurring,
mm-hmm.
and there's so many players involved that it's difficult to find a single agenda, because there are races that are, like, for instance, I'll ask this question. So allow yourself to perceive all the blood that has been donated in this last year on the planet. Okay.
Wow.
And now what percentage of that blood remained on the planet, and what percentage of the blood left the planet?
Ew.
Yep. So allow yourself to perceive all the organ donors and all the organs that have been donated over the last year.
Okay.
And allow yourself to perceive what percentage of those have remained on the planet and what percentage of those have been taken off the planet.
What the hell?
Yeah. So there are races that have an agenda around human things.
Pieces, parts, and particles, I'd say. Yuck.
Allow yourself to perceive all the gold that's been mined over the last 100 years on this planet.
Okay.
What percent of that gold has remained on the planet, and what percent of that gold has left the planet?
Whoa.
Okay. So
What?
actually what's interesting for me is there's more organs that have left the planet than there's gold that's left the planet. But I looked at it slightly differently. But it's like, so there are races that are more interested in the precious metals. There are races that are more interested in human parts. Then you get different races that are interested in souls, this game of collecting and capturing souls. It's like, and then there's ones that are interested in mind, and there's ones that are interested in preventing awareness. And they're kind of working together in this collective, but they all have different agendas. So when you ask, what is the agenda? I can't answer it directly, but I can start to give you questions that cause you to see more.
So why humans? What's so special and unique about us?
Well, my interesting point of view is, and what really kind of grabbed for me was George Kavasilis has a point of view, perception that he has that the universe, that there's a project that was created here around awareness and around exploration, where they took the entire universe, this particular creation, and they compressed it down into a smaller version of that's more compressed. Instead of spread out and all these random things everywhere, it's a condensation of that. And let's say we're going to call that the solar system.
Okay.
Or the galaxy. They're going to call it the galaxy. They then compressed that again, and they created the solar system.
Okay.
And they compressed that again, and they created this planet.
Okay.
So what if this planet is a condensation or compression of this universe, which all of a sudden makes this planet very valuable, because if you control this planet,
you can control the
whole universe. And it's easier because it's all connected. And now humans were created of this planet. So you've got this holographic creation of this planet that humans are now a extrapolation of. So humans are actually a body that is a universal body. It's an expression of all of the energies and all of the things, elements of the universe. So how valuable are those human bodies now?
Well, and those human systems, not just the body, but every aspect, soul, body, mind, soul, being, would be incredibly valuable, because they're little micro universes. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That is the only explanation I've ever found that comes closest to what I perceive as true. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying, for me, in the way I perceive this reality as an infinite being, that's the closest I've come to seeing something that feels coherent for me.
Well, and for me, my interesting point of view is that as these creator beings in these bodies, in these human forms, we are that complete creative, and I hate to say this word, but it's like that prime creator, that origin light creator being in these unique bodies, and we have access to everything that ever was, ever currently is, and ever will be. And it's all stored in our bodies, through everything. I mean, the DNA, the RNAs, the little mitochondria, all the different organelles in the cells, everything between the cells, everything. Every little part of us is, like you said, that microcosm of the universe. But my version is that we were created that way so we could create. And a lot of these beings, my perception is, they don't have the ability to create on their own they're trying to figure out a way to do that because they are not that, and I don't have a better word for it, God source, that original God source energy.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's why we have become such a valuable commodity, because we do have that ability to create. We do have that creator, creation with all capitals, energy. Right. And we've been so entrained away from being those creator beings, we don't even recognize it. And as we awaken, as we begin this awakening process, this awareness and this consciousness, this expansive consciousness process, we begin to understand we can do pretty much anything. And we can play with time, and we can play with and manipulate in a good way. We can also be manipulated, and if we're being manipulated, we can manipulate for the dark side, which is also a problem. So it's understanding how we are actually being manipulated away from our true creator selves, for me anyway, how we're being manipulated and interfered with from awakening so that we don't step into that pure potential. Because if we do, it's like, it's the unfair fight.
Yeah. See, the other piece of that I think has helped me to see things more clearly is, if you think of yourself, there's your being, the other people would call it a soul, but your being, the energy of you, and then there's the body that you occupy, that has its own spirit and intentionality that co-creates with you. But it's like, your body is a creation of this universe, of this reality.
Right.
But what if you are not sourced from this universe? What if you came into this universe from outside? So what if you were sourced, you currently are sourced outside. So you actually have, like, if we were to pull the plug on your body, you don't go away because you're still connected outside the universe. We pull the plug on this universe, you don't go away because you're sourced from outside this universe. So for me, that puts things together in a different way. I'm coming from outside and embodying an expression here. I'm a creator somewhere. I have my own universe, like this universe, or different. Like, it's totally not like this one. But like, what if we all have our own universes, and we are all creators of an equal or similar magnitude, but we've come into this creator's universe to play and explore and co-create, and maybe help this creator kind of untangle some of the stuff that's going on around here, and find clarity about, like, oh, what's going on? What's corrupted here? That's kind of the way I see it. Is it's not that it's like I'm not better or worse or higher or less than. It's just I come from outside of here, where I'm a creator like the creator of this universe. Like, we're friends. We're buds, you know, and so we're coming here to kind of play together or support each other and untangle some things here. That's my interesting point of view about it.
Well, and my other interesting point of view is that a lot of us creators have come together in that clarion call to help untangle this manipulation and to help whatever it is. So everything that's brought up.
Yep. So what all of that? And what is all the unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking around all that, all the Riniki's command booby traps around that, all the covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energies and frequencies around all that, and put all that in the bottle.
Woo! Yeah.
And what is everything we decided that all that stuff means that it doesn't actually mean? And I'm willing to look at everything I ever think or believe is true. And I always run it through that. What does everything I believe, all that stuff means that it doesn't actually mean? And can put all that in the file. Wow. Yeah. And what is everything that I decided that all this doesn't mean that it actually does mean?
That's even bigger. Let's put that in the pile. Wow. Wow.
And what is everything that we're aligning and agreeing with? Resisting and reacting to? Defending for? Defending against? Righteous for? Righteous against? And all the righteous to me is just interference, manipulation. All in the pile.
All in the pile.
And everything from down below, back behind, up above, front, left, right, inside, outside, everything remaining, all in the pile. Wow. And bodies let that go. Not you, not yours, not you, not yours, not you, not yours. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that now.
I choose that.
Clear, transform, flash burn, purify, and sterilize all of that back to and through its source.
Network up. Outage lasted 34 minutes, 37 seconds. Test failed during the outage.
My network's back up again.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. Anyone? Oh my gosh. I'm like, what is that? Oh, that's
I have a robotic monitor that tracks my network because, it's like, how else do I keep track of this? So for me, the core thing about all of this is I don't lock onto any truth and claim any one thing to be true. This reality wants you to grab something is true, lock that in, nail that to the ground. You know that's true. And then grab this thing, call it true, nail that to the ground. Nail this, and create walls of truth.
Yeah.
And then that becomes your solid truth. And you've been conditioned that, like, you need to find these truths. And once you have that, you have a stable reality. But what if all of that stuff is bullshit? What if, as an infinite being, you're flexible? You can look around all over. You can have many points of view. And so what if you don't have a truth? You are like a truth trier honor. Like you try on different points of view and see what this is like, and see what you perceive from all that is. And then you go to another point of view, and then you perceive all that is from that point of view. And slowly you map together this 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 10-dimensional, 12, 30-dimensional reality of what's true that's outside of mind, outside of this reality. And so your truth actually isn't fixed. It's constantly growing. So I never take anything that I believe as true. It's just, this is what I think is real right now. Yeah. And the next time I find that, well, when I clear, that's been manipulated, that's distorted, that's connected to that, I'll happily clear all of it. I have no attachment to any truth. And that, I think, is another difference.
I do too. And it's interesting that you say that because I'm finding that what I've thought was true or real or whatever is constantly being manipulated. And so if I find that fixed point of view, I am it's like when you hold on to something, it's like the dog with the bone, and it's the tail wagging the dog, and and it's uncomfortable. It puts us in massive amount of discomfort. And you and I have talked extensively about this, some of the stuff that I've been through specifically over the last 2, 3, 4 years, and how painful that's been, which has helped, was designed to create that fixed, very strong point of view, and righteous for and righteous against, which is pure manipulation.
Yep.
And how from that space, from that very fixed point of view of right and wrong, and victim and victimizer, and that whole thing. It's just like, oh my gosh, that's really the beginning of your personal destruction, is my very interesting point of view. When you hang on to those very solid viewpoints rather than something, or at least clearing the energy, that spectrum clearing, aligning for, aligning against, that to me is one of the most powerful tools in our arsenal, is to help release that strict, rigid kind of thing that it's you see the effects of that in the daily news and everything that is going on this planet. Those fixed points of view have been used to destroy one another, and that's where it's no longer acceptable, in my opinion.
And to come full circle, that's where the spiritual New Age community, all they're doing is handing you a different set of fixed points of view for you to memorize and learn and parrot back and keep testing each other to see, well, I know more of those points of view than you do, so I'm more spiritual.
That spiritual significance.
But it's just another mental construct, another mental reality that actually is highly distorted. The back end of it is highly twisted to get you to just buy into another set of right and wrong and good and bad. And it's just another one of the same thing. It's the same.
Well, what I loved was your False Light series, because that was, I really think, one of the big, I mean, I'd been playing with, this whole concept, and, I'd had you on my show several years ago, but that False Light series was like the OMG moment for me. Like, holy
cool.
shit. Yeah, it was. And I refer everybody to it because it really talks about what, it's this love and light and all is good and all is well. And don't look at the man behind the curtain and what's really under that, when you're, and I lived in Colorado. I was in Boulder an awful lot and took class after class after class. And it was like, we're calling in our spirits and our guides, and we're calling in our angels. And I bought into it, which was awesome. And it served its purpose for that time being. But the False Light series was like, oh, holy hell, what's really underneath that? So do you want to take just a second and talk about that? Because I think it's so important. And everybody, go find Jaden's False Light series because it's highly instructive, especially if you're looking for a relationship.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I learned so much that I needed a format to like get it down. It was one of those like leave a legacy kind of pieces. And it's free. It's on YouTube. There's 7 episodes, and it starts with organized religion and looking at the right wrong game and some of the pieces we've talked about here. Yeah. And then it goes into the New Age movement and starts to clear some of the distortions, manipulations that get installed there. And then it went into relationships, the love and just the kind of promoted relationships that this reality has. And from there, it just kind of goes down the rabbit hole really quickly into what's really behind relationships. And because it's like relationships are that other big fuck with you. When the mind isn't working to fuck with you, they're gonna bring in relationships in your reality to fuck with you. And between the mind and relationships, they're doing a pretty good job of locking down most people on the planet. Yeah. So I've just felt drawn to go into those. And when you see what really goes on behind relationships and with people, and it's like, wow, okay, and all that stuff is manipulated. And when you can perceive, my belief is that when you can actually see what's really true from your perspective, clear all the crap aside, you'll naturally just dodge all of that stuff. Like the Matrix, the Neo dodging the bullets coming at him, he just moves out of the way. It really, really, really is like that, but they're not bullets, it's bullshit. They're throwing chunks of bullshit at you, and you just dodge that one, and it's just like, it's obvious, you can see it. And so that's my invitation, is always, how can I invite people to become more aware of what's true for them, so they can dodge that bullshit. And that's what that False Light series does, is
like I said,
show you the main ones. So
it was absolutely brilliant, and it answered so many pieces of the puzzle for me around my relationships, and it was like, oh bloody hell. Oh, I get it now.
My partner's been taken over. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, well, and I knew that. I mean, that was certainly my perception, and the hows and the whys. It was like ding 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 ding. I mean, the lights came on in a completely different way, and it allowed me. It was a validation, because, well, yeah, it was a validation of everything that I had seen and experienced, and it was just like, okay, okay, and back.
That's always what I think both of us try to do, is like, how do we invite people to find out what's true for them in their reality?
Yeah.
And you think that most of this world is true. You think that most of the world is authentic. And what I'm here to say is that 99.8% of this world is complete illusion and distortions and manipulation, and it's not at all what you think it is.
No.
Not at all what you think it is. And when you're willing to look at everything and turn over every stone and look under every truth that you believe, you start to see some really weird shit.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We turn over those stones.
But it can be a little disorienting and kind of scary at times, because it's like, am I crazy? Am I absolutely crazy? And, I remember seeing something one time, and I'm just like, and started seeing it replicating. And I was like, oh my God, this is like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And this scares me. It literally terrified me, because it was like, is this ever going to end? And it hasn't.
And anytime you're smaller, anytime you're in a point of view where you're smaller than any of those things, you can be terrified by it. And that's where I'm always bringing back people to expanding to bigger than all of this.
Yeah.
Bigger than the universe, bigger than the multiverse, bigger than beyondverse, and reconnecting into your infinite being.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing your body to connect to the infinite planet from that bigger perspective. And you realize, I'm bigger than this whole universe is.
Right.
It's like, okay, well then maybe that little distortion over there isn't so big a deal. What can I do to change it? Like, it totally alters your way of perceiving. And this world wants you to think it's bigger than you are. Always.
Always.
That's, yeah.
It always wants you to think that you are helpless, and it's hopeless, and you have absolutely no control over anything, and don't even try.
Right.
Ever.
Right. And it's done a brilliant job of it. It's brilliant mind fuck. As a person who appreciates, like, I actually appreciate manipulation and distortion now. Having looked at it so much, like, it no longer really pisses me off. I can go like, wow, that is brilliant how they did that.
How did they do that?
That is so brilliant. It's ingenious. The brilliance that was used to distort this reality is just absolutely incredible. But in order to perceive that, you have to be willing to stand in a point of view where you can be bigger than all of that.
Yes.
And go, wow. Like, if you're smaller than it, then it's just another jail that you can never get out of.
And so I would like to invite our listeners then to kind of step into this expansion with us, and just kind of drop into your body, You want to lead them? You want me to do this?
Sure, I can do it.
Okay.
So allow yourself to perceive the outer edges of your energy field.
Mm-hmm.
And allow yourself to expand to bigger than the state that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And bigger than the country that you're in. And allow yourself to connect to the authentic, natural, contributive planet, the green, vibrant, healthy planet that actually is, not the synthetic part. Connected to the authentic, biological, symbiotic planet.
Yeah.
And now allow yourself to expand so you're embodying or encompassing the entire planet. You're perceiving the entire planet. Your energy field is the size of the entire planet. And remain connected to the entire planet. And allow yourself to also expand beyond that. So expand to bigger than the solar system. In all directions, including below you. And including behind you. And including above you. And including out in front of you. And to the left of you. And expand to the right of you. And expand to the inside. All directions. And expand to bigger than the universe in all directions. And don't think about what that is. Just do what you know. Just expand to bigger than the universe. There you go. And expand to bigger than the multiverse, all the multiple universes. And if you think about every human being who's a creator has at least one universe. There's a lot of them. Expand to outside of all of them. In all directions. Wow. And expand to bigger than the beyondiverse, mythical beyondiverse. Mythical because we made it up. And beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond all of that. And expand beyond the infinite realm, bigger than the infinite realms. And bigger than that, beyond that, and above you, and behind you, and below you, and in front of you, and left, and the right, and inside, expand beyond all of that. And allow yourself to connect in to your infinite being, like the source of you from outside this creation, and allow your body to connect into the infinite planet. And what if this space is closer to the truth of who you are than any other space? Yeah. This magnitude, this sense of potency, this sense of like, I am bigger than all of this.
Yeah. This always just is so, it's such a sweet space for me. It's so grounded and centered and aligned and peaceful. Yep. And it's just, it's like my body feels like it's just connected in this warm, nurturing environment that is breathing with me and kind of holding, it's you just feel so happy.
Yeah, same. And I feel more me. I feel more just clarity is just easy. Like you get into the minutia of it and it's like, but you just expand out. It's like, wow, I'm beyond that. Like, and there was no action required.
Right.
You're just, I'm bigger.
Well,
and I feel more connected to my body. I feel more connected to nature. I feel more connected to the planet. It's like, what if this is more of the truth of who you be?
I agree. And when you're in that expanded space of bigger than, the multiverse and beyond the beyond and beyond the verse and into the infinite realms, it's like you have all of the answers you need. And everything else becomes so, oh, there it is.
Yeah. It's so tiny.
I thought it was such a huge, unsurmountable problem. Oh, there it is. Off you go.
Yep. Bing.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so from this grounded space, what kind of fun and awareness can we create?
Yeah, and receive.
And receive. And put your hand on your heart and another on your solar plexus and just receive. Wow. And what is possible for you?
What else is now possible?
Place? Yeah, yeah.
And receive.
Yeah, this feels good.
And it's like, what if there's information that your body gets as a creation of this universe? There's like universal information, but then there's infinite being information that comes from outside, that comes from your awareness outside of this universe, outside of this distortion, outside of this really creative, unique creation that we're playing in that we think is real and true. And what if there's places where that information is a greater contribution than anything from within this universe and this creation and these gods and these structures and this matrix and all that distortion? What if your infinite being perspective that you have connection to 24/7 is useful here, and only you have your perspective because only you are connected to your source outside? And it's like you're bringing that in allows all of us to perceive more, because it's another perspective on all that is and another perspective on all that is.
And so all that is, from that space of that expanded understanding or that expanded consciousness and awareness, what else is possible now for you to create?
Yeah. And receive.
And receive.
And if you had always been functioning from that space of connection and just didn't know it, like what if you had always had that access and had always been downloading that information your whole life or whole existence? What awareness would you be having? And receive.
And receive.
What if you were always aware and you were always connected? What else would be possible? And receive.
Receive.
Wow. Wow. And what resources can you bring in or access that would allow you to change all of the distortions and all of the lockdowns in your reality right here, right now? And receive. To your advantage, your local advantage.
Your local advantage. Wow. That is cool.
I like you.
This is why I love playing with you, Jaden, because everything is possible. And my life has just exponentially changed since we reconnected. I'm so grateful.
Cool?
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
And
so
and
cool.
my clients they're just like, oh my God, what else is possible? And I'm like, hang on tight, kids. It's going to get really cool from here on out.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Whew. Thank you for that receiving. This is, we will be back next time. If you guys have anything you want to hear about, write to us. Michelle at Quantum Self Clearing, Jaden at jaden.fox.com.
Jaden at Jaden dash.
Oh, dash Fox. Sorry, my bad. Not dot Jaden-Fox.com.
Yes, Fox. Yep.
Yeah.
Because somebody got the Jaden Fox thing first.
Fine. Yes, but he wasn't the real Jaden Fox.
It's a different real Jaden.
It's-
Actually, I think he's a program, but that's another story.
Which we may go into at some point.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Yeah.
Oh, I have no doubt we will. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. This has been so much fun and so informative. I just thank you for being here again. And wait till next week, guys, because it's going to get even cooler. All right, guys. Thanks. Love you all dearly. Have a great night. Bye-bye.